And welcome to another edition of Carnivore Bites. I'm your host, Jeff Sherman, along with Dr. Eric Lopkin. And Dr. Lopkin, just like last week, I think the biggest story is obviously the shutdown. I usually let you tee it off. But I have to say I'm getting increasingly concerned that Trump has boxed himself in, because if you're Nancy Pelosi, Democrats, there's really no impotence for you to resolve this. It's not your butt.
I actually think it's even worse than that. I think both sides have boxed themselves in.
Oh, there's no question about it. But the loser, the receiving end of this, will be Trump.
Oh yes, he's definitely coming off worse, and
yes.
part of that is because he boxed himself into a corner. The only real way I see of him getting out is using the emergency powers to take the money from the military and then reopen.
That's the only way. It goes to show you, history repeats itself. What gets you to the dance sometimes is a thing that's going to be a problem when you're at the dance. And I'll tie that up by saying George H. Bush probably won against Dukakis. It was a tight election, at least at first. He was actually behind. At the convention, when he was behind, he goes, "Read my lips, no new taxes." And then he folded on that. That's probably why he lost the election, or a good reason for that.
Oh, it's generally considered the major reason that he lost the election.
There you go. Same thing with Trump. Build the wall. The Democrats know if he does not build the wall, he is vulnerable.
See,
and he has no strategist in the White House, in his inner circle, that can negotiate, can navigate this. He doesn't have like a Howard Baker. He doesn't have anyone that's going to say, okay, we're here. How do we get there? There's no reaching out. There's nothing, because he's got rank amateurs surrounding him. No real governmental accomplishments, no appreciable experience. I think he's screwed.
I think he did screw himself. The one thing that I cannot figure out is I understand why he shut down the government for this. What I don't understand is why he waited. If you remember, the Democrats shut down the government for DACA for a couple of days a few years ago. Also, over the budget, same thing. The Republicans had the House and the Senate at that point. Why he didn't push it then, I can't figure out.
Dr. Lopkin, you are once again correct. But the real scary part of all of this, and it is scary, make no mistake about it, is that you know that, I know that, and the scary thing is that people in his administration don't. Obviously, the time to do it was then. The Democrats were playing defensive. They were playing defense at that point with, the DACA, blah, blah, blah. And he waits till now. He backs himself in a corner. And I guess the only thing I do think about is he's 72 years old, doesn't need the job, okay? I'm sure anyone wants to succeed. Basically, could he just be, in the bunker and just say, screw it, I'm going to just wait it out and I don't care?
Well, I think he is going to wait it out, because part of the problem of what we're dealing with now is he uses the stock market as his indicator. If the stock market goes up, he takes it that he's on the right track, stay the course. He only changes when the market drops. During this shutdown, the market has been doing very well. The S&P has gone up more than it ever has. So the market is very positive. The economic news is still positive, even though there will be a hit from the shutdown. So he's looking at that and saying, well, obviously I'm doing the right thing. I'm going to stay the course.
Pelosi, hold on for a second, though. You have a good point about the economy. And actually, the economy will take a hit. It's not going to take a nosedive, okay? It'll take a hit, okay? But the hit might actually be a good thing because it'll dissuade the Fed from increasing interest rates anymore. It'll be like an interest rate factor if you really want to consider it in a theoretical
That's actually
sense.
one of the things they're talking about. There is a real possibility, if this goes on long enough, that first quarter GDP will actually be zero, simply because there's no measurements. However, everybody, and I mean on both sides, when the government reopens, they expect everything to rebound big.
Oh, yeah. So that's why I think he stays the course. Listen, if you were advising him, you're a smart guy, Dr. Lopkin, there's really no choice. Either he reneges and he's screwed. You know, how are you going to appear to be a tough guy when you lost to Nancy Pelosi? Yeah, that's just you can't reconcile that.
Yeah, see,
you just can't.
My advice to him would be use the emergency powers, take the money for the wall from there, reopen the government, and then fight it out in court, because lawyers,
wait a second.
on
The wall's
both sides,
never going to be built. The wall is never going. Yes, that is the
great.
The wall's never going to be built.
The wall will never be complete, but it will be built because parts of it have already gone up.
There's no question about it. Yes, there's no question. He should do that and fight it out, and he's still going to take a hit because he will appear that he acquiesced.
He'll take a hit, but I think it would be a much smaller hit, and I think he would get a big boost during the court case because they will fight this tooth and nail. It will go to the Supreme Court, and again, lawyers on both sides have said he would win.
You are correct again. He needs to do it, but he has rank amateurs in there. I'd say within a week, he should pull the plug on that, and I agree with you 100%. 100%. So let's move on to next item on the agenda, and that's I don't really even like talking about it, Dr. Lopkin, but it's just so scary, is the media biased. I mean, and I know any liberal out there, any Democrat is relishing in this. Just, think it's the greatest thing ever. But like in life, be careful what you wish for. And that's one of the beliefs or truisms that I think usually happens. Like, people that want something so bad, usually it ends up blowing up in their faces. Like, especially when you want the demise of someone, not the death, but someone to go down, someone to do this. The media is gone. There is no media. It's vacant. It's vacated. Then you have two camps. You have Fox and marginal news outlets like, the Drudge Report, Breitbart, but, and then the rest of the mainstream media, which is, they were always biased. They were biased in the 60s, but not like this.
No, and this week it went to new depths with the Buzzfeed article that Trump has told Cohen to lie to Congress. And they came out with the story, and the media ran with the story, and Democrats.
Oh, he was going to be impeached. He was immediately
Democrats
going to
jumped on saying, we're going to impeach him for this. This is an impeachable offense. And then, of all places, the Mueller investigation issues a statement saying BuzzFeed has this wrong. This did not happen. How bad does media bias have to get when the Mueller investigation is defending Trump?
I really don't know what's happened. But CNN, what is it? The Force in News, whatever their tagline is. I forgot what it is. They've lost all credibility. And you know something? Even from a business standpoint, we said this years ago on Carnivore Radio, that they had a real opportunity to seize. They had a real opportunity
to seize the center, to seize real news.
Yes, no, they could have been, they could have been the Coke. In other words, the Fox and MSNBC would have been niche players, and CNN would have had the 50% market share. but whatever his name, I forgot his name, the head, just
Jeff
completely,
Zucker.
what an incompetent buffoon. Just a buffoon. I don't care if you're an ideologue. You owe it to the stockholders to get it right. I mean, to watch CNN, and I, again, yes, I have a, right, I'm more, I have a conservative bias. I get it. But to watch, you'd have to be brain dead. And Fox isn't so far behind either. Just to be fed red meat, or in this case, sushi, if you're on the left, Trump is a serial killer. Boy, he should be day after day after hour after hour. I mean, even if you're a dyed-in-the-wool liberal, doesn't it get boring? I mean, can't you? And even on Fox, the same thing. It's like, Sean Hannity. It's just, there is no news. I mean, it's not really even worth watching. There's no investigative reports. There's nothing. When you have news outlets like CNN don't even report how well the economy is doing, it just becomes a caricature of itself. What do you think, Dr. Lopkin?
It really is. I mean, what you just said about getting it right is the key to the problem. And this happened, I would say, probably there was a major turn about 15 years ago, maybe a little earlier than that, when they decided it was more important to be first than to be right. And they're putting stuff out. You don't have the fact checking you used to have. You don't have investigative reporting because that takes time. And they don't want to take time. They want to fill the airwaves, fill 24 hours and get it out first.
I think that's a factor. I think another factor is ever since Watergate, the people, Woodward and Bernstein, the people going into journalism are increasingly farther and farther to the left. They're activists. I mean,
they're definitely activists.
You can't be non-biased if you're biased. It's just humanly impossible. You can't fake it.
The problem is journalism students now look at Bob Woodward and they go, well, that's the reporter we want to be. Now, Bob Woodward was the guy that took down a president. Well, even if you read about what actually went on, even just see the movie All the President's Men, read the book All the President's Men, you'll see Bob Woodward was not a great reporter. Leonard Bernstein was the reporter, and he had to hold Woodward back. So instead of people using Leonard Bernstein as the example, the one that was following the money and following facts, they chose to go. Well, they would, whatever his first name was, I can't remember now. I can't believe I just said that, actually. But Bernstein.
Yep.
Bernstein was the reporter. I'm blanking on his name.
We got it. It doesn't make a difference. That was a good one.
But
anyway, it was. But that's let's say 1972. People that are, let's say, 50 years old now. The mainstream of the media, the people running the media outlets, grew up under that era, went to college in the 70s, and that's their hero, and that's why you have what you have. Now, Zucker is just, he's just an idiot. I don't even understand it. I don't even understand. CNN's ratings are so low.
Carl Bernstein. That was his name.
Carl Bernstein. Leonard Bernstein.
It just goes to show, even we're not right all the time, but at least we go back and check.
Exactly. That's awesome. But anyway, I think, the huge bias seen. And something, it shows you that we're kind of correct, Dr. Lopkin, that even if you're far left, you're still not tuning in because there's nothing there. I mean, it's like me, I don't really tune into Sean Hannity because there's just nothing there. It's just white noise. Do you agree with that? I mean, are you really going to tell me something insightful?